Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Friday, March 11th, 2022. And I just got to say, it's madness. All the crap that's going on. My head is spinning like Carrie. If I had hair, I'd look like Don King. I mean, just trying to figure out this college these games, I always talk about Da Vinci's Code, and if someone's got it, just please, don't be shy. It's comical. Uh, uh, I mean, just from today, let me move the lights a little here. Indiana upsets Illinois. Davidson rolls. A&M upsets Auburn. Um, Louisiana Tech upsets North Texas. Since he put up a hell of a battle, but Houston covers. Iowa wins by 10 and covers. Currently, as we speak, St. Louis is up 1 against the Bonnies. I got to say thanks for playing on LSU. Took a swing with them on the upset, and they played a great first half and then got outscored 13-1 to start the second half. Thanks for playing. UAB up 2 against Middle Tennessee as a 7.5-point favorite, and currently Tulane up 9 against Temple. Shout out to Beating the Books. Anyone watching and listening, he put out a tweet today, and he put a half dozen to a dozen people that he said he respected in these lanes. Got over 30 plus new followers, and I didn't follow everyone just because I didn't want to get all of a sudden hit with I followed too many new people. So if I didn't follow you back, I promise I will. If you're new to our show, do us a favor. Run over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Turn on your notifications. Hit the like button, and that's it. You'll never miss my co-host, the one, the only, Mr. Scott D. Webb. Good afternoon, Scott.
Well, this crazy free agent frenzy hasn't started yet, except for we got one deal anyway.
What was the deal?
Carlos Rodon, San Francisco Giants, 2 years, $40 million.
You know what? They were doing it with smoke and mirrors. The kids played off the charts, and the veterans, we're talking with long resumes, chipped in. I mean, I think that's everyone's auto under when it comes to the MLB and your under overs. But I loved watching that team. There was nothing better than a late night watching the Giants and everyone waiting for the Dodgers to pass them, and they're still waiting, obviously. I like the signing. What do you think?
I think that that's a great signing for them because they lost Kevin Gausman. So they need somebody at the top. And, they're not going to have that traditional, Walker Buehler, for example, at the top. So this suffices. I mean, you can put Carlos Rodon against anybody at the top of the lineup because your next guy coming out is going to be, Logan Webb, and he pitched really well. And then your next guy is going to be Alex Wood and Alex Cobb. So I think that the depth of their rotation, because they still have DeSclafani too. And I think the depth of their rotation is what's going to make them successful in the pitching. And as long as they can pitch, they're going to stay in games. My biggest concern with the Giants is going to be that they had career years last year. And if anybody knows what I do and how I do things, I don't ask players to come off career years with another one. So I think there's going to be a lot of regression on the offensive side. And you lose a big bat in Buster Posey. I get it. Bart's going to play the catcher, but he's not no Buster Posey on the offensive side. So, Brandon Belt and Crawford and those guys had great seasons, and I can't expect them to have the same type of season that they had, especially at the age that they're at. So I like the sign because I think you have to decide, right? I mean, you have to decide how you're going to participate and if you're gonna be weak on offense, and that doesn't mean that they're done. They can go sign somebody that can be a big bat. But if you're gonna be weak on offense, you better be good on pitching, and you better have the depth. And I think they do.
Well, we talked about Kershaw, me, you, Mr. Lucky, and we all are under the assumption that if he does sign, it will be with the Dodgers, and if he doesn't, he might retire. My buddy that I sent you the 700-page book thinks he needs surgery. So maybe he'll tell the Dodgers the truth and maybe he'll be out for 6 months. I don't know. But there's not a lot of big arms out there.
He was the number one. Rodon was number one.
Exactly. And I asked Bernie about Bauer. He said, yes, he will pitch this year, just unsure of what MLB will drop down for a suspension.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest problem, right? I mean, hey, Billy, how you doing? I think the biggest thing that is the issue with Bauer is exactly that, is that he can pitch. He's just a character in the game, and whatever the suspension looks like, I don't know. I mean, how many of these teams need pitching? I did all the American League, Jeff. So we can talk American League all you want. I'm probably going to do the National League tonight. So when it comes to what they're missing and what they're looking at and all that, and every single team, it's just every single team except for the Cleveland Indians in the American League, I have sitting here. They need a number 5 starter, or they need a starting pitching, or they need starting pitch. Every single team needs starting pitching, and every team needs depth of players. And then there's a lot of teams that are struggling in the outfield. Some are struggling in the infield. Some teams need catchers. I mean, it's going to be crazy, but I'm excited about a couple of things. One, and I just retweeted a tweet that's awesome. The Kansas City Royals are in spring training today in their minor league camp, and Bobby Witt Jr., the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, is batting against the number 1 pick that Kansas City had in terms of pitching with Jack Leiter. So Jack Leiter is facing Bobby Witt Jr., and we got video, and I retweeted it. It's awesome. Bobby Witt Jr. takes him for a double.
Yeah. My buddy Sean really likes him this year. What was the problem last year? Just not getting up, right?
Well, last year Bobby Witt Jr. was that was his first season, and when you kind of go through it all, that you typically, I mean, you could be as good as whoever. I mean, you look at what Vladdy did for Toronto in the minor leagues, and it takes you a little bit. And the reason it takes you a little bit is because the quality of pitching is so different when you get to AAA, and then it's even that much bigger than when you get to the big league. So you can race right through single A, double A, you can and get right into AAA, and then you got to figure it out because those guys are better. And then when you get into the big leagues, obviously it's one of those things. So he's going to play, and he's going to play this year. But what I was surprised at when I saw the picture, the video clip, he's a little bigger than I thought he was. He's not like this little tiny bastard. He's a pretty big stocky kid. So I thought, oh, this guy's going to be good.
I got to laugh. I'm just keeping my eye on the scores. And how many times, and Billy can attest to this, are we up 10, 12, 14, 15, and our team is a no-show? And like yesterday, Indiana comes all the way back from 17 down to beat Michigan outright. I'm watching in front of my eyes UAB crumble against Middle Tennessee State. We had the Billikens +2. They win by 1 outright today. Against the Bonnies. St. Louis opened up overnight 2-point favorites, and there was a flip, and the Bonnies went to 2-point favorites. I stuck to my guns with the respect in the opening line there. And then The LSU Arkansas game opened up 1 overnight, 1.5, got steamed to 3.5, and played a great first half. And as I said in the opener, nowhere to be found. 13-1 to start the second half. But I was venting a little here is, we get it to 9 where you're looking for that push, and next thing you know, it's 14. Thanks for playing. I'll take the 1-1 split and the juice, and we'll move on. So I'm going to bring up the board. There's a lot of games to go over. I do want to say this. A buddy of ours, Mr. SoCal DGen, put out a stat that the Vegas Knights were 0 for this year, coming off a loss on back-to-backs. And it's funny he said that because this morning I did our usual check down pregame to see if there were any bags. And sure enough, at 5:40 a.m., someone went to the window and put 6,000 on the Penguins money line. Now I can't give out a Penguins money line; it's too steep. But I will look into the puck line. So the NBA is yours. The quick eye test again. We talked about it this morning. Charlotte's still sticking at 2.5. It is 3 at South Point. That went from plus 3.5 to minus 2.5 now. Not a lot of big moves on the board from this morning, but it looks like there's some, and this is the spot this team is best at. We said when San Antonio's 6-point favorites, stay away. But when they're dogs, and now they're a home dog, they opened up at 7-point dogs today, already down to 5.5 at Westgate and South Point. But the board is yours, my friend.
That Charlotte New Orleans game, Jeff, the flip is because New Orleans' best 2 players, McCollum and Ingram, are both out today. So neither one of those guys are playing. So I looked at that right away, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? New Orleans has been the best team in basketball here for a little bit, and they're not playing at all. So I understand the flip there. I don't know that I would at this point make that wager, but anyway, that being said, that's why that's going on. There's Minnesota's playing Orlando tonight. Everything I have says I was going to wipe them off the court. They're 7.5-point favorites, but Anthony Edwards is listed as questionable. Today is the first day of a back-to-back for Minnesota. Minnesota plays Miami tomorrow, so I would think that if they were going to rest him for a day because his knee hurts, today would be that day. That's why he's listed as questionable, because they're going to want him to play against Miami. He scores 21 points a game. So if he's not in the game, I don't like the number. So that's why I sort of backed off of that one. But I do like 2 games, and they're both the late games. I like Phoenix today, minus the 5 against Toronto. I have not been a big fan of Toronto, and as of late, everything that I have over the last 2 weeks tells me it's a 9 to 10 point game. Since the All-Star break, tells me it's an 11-point game or a 9-point game, and they're home and away for the whole season tells me that it's going to be a 10-point game. So I like the idea here that this is close to a double-digit number. The opening line, Jeff, I think was at one time, this game was minus 6.5. It's not necessarily there now. It was minus 5.5. I think was the open number. Now it's minus 5. I still like Phoenix. I like them, so I'm going to play them. Booker is playing tonight. Aton's playing tonight. And the other one that I'm liking is, I hate the Lakers. So I'm playing Washington tonight. Porzingis is playing for Washington tonight. So they're going to have all their players. The only thing that scares me about Washington is they're a much better home team than they are away team. But at this point, the way the Lakers have been playing, if LeBron James doesn't score 50 points, they're not going to win. And then I was looking at it, and let me tell you this, Jeff. Here's what Washington has done in their last, say, 5 games. They were against the Clippers, and you know how the Clippers are. They've been playing pretty good. The Clippers, they played them to 6 points, 115, 109 on the road. Then they played Indiana at home, and they beat Indiana by 10. They played Atlanta. They only lost to Atlanta by 3. And they played Detroit. And Detroit's been playing pretty well. And they beat Detroit. And then they played Cleveland. Only lost to Cleveland by 6. Had San Antonio. They went overtime. And they beat Brooklyn. So this is a team that's been playing pretty well. And now they're going to get the Lakers. So I kind of like the idea that we're going to get 4 points here. At one time it was 5. I wish I would have got them at 5, but 4 is okay. I think Washington can win this game, so I'm taking Washington. So I got Phoenix and Washington. Phoenix -5, Washington +4.
All right, let's go to the madness. Guys, if you listened to us yesterday, I told you what to expect, and we were spot on a handful of games, and we were off on a bunch of games. Whether you're taking the overnight and checking what's happening in the morning, whether you're following steam, reverse line movement, there is no rhyme or reason right now. There's none. And so with that said, okay, rotation number 819, 820 is Michigan State and Wisconsin. Wisconsin only opened up at 1.5. Steam to 3, 3.5. It's the exact same blueprint in Arkansas. So if you had Arkansas today, which looks like they're up 12 with 2 minutes to go, so barring a miracle, it's the same exact blueprint. So if you've been fading Michigan State, Whiskey lost outright to Nebraska their last game, so they're chomping at the bit. Wisconsin's your play. I'm staying away. I was on with Michigan State. Billy will attest to this. We talked about it earlier today. I'm going to stay away. Penn State, Purdue opened at 8, steam to 11. 54% of the bets, 51% of the money. Do I expect Purdue to win? I do. Am I going to lay the 11? Hell no. What do you have for numbers there?
I got $93,000 on the game. 52% of the money is on Penn State. 64% of the tickets is on Purdue.
I don't know what to say there, gentlemen. I'd stay away. Again, I expect Purdue, actually. I was talking this morning with Riley, and I talked about the fact I think it's going to be Purdue and Iowa to see who cuts the nets down for the Big Ten championship. Iowa now gets Indiana. I think they will take care of them. Indiana's win today against Illinois punches their ticket. But I think Purdue wins today, and I think Purdue will beat either Michigan State or Wisconsin and face Iowa in that championship. Rotation number 827, 828, UMass against Dayton. UMass shocks the world yesterday with a win. Again, Dayton opened at 10, now 10.5. I'm showing 52% of the bets, 65% of the money on UMass, yet it's gone from 10 to 10.5.
Yeah, I got 67,000 on this game, 74% of the money, 56% of the tickets on Dayton.
I expect them to win. I do. I wouldn't be surprised with a blowout, but I'm staying away from there. Next one, 829, 830, Richmond against VCU. VCU opened at 2.5, now 3.5, 4 at our friends at South Point and Caesars. 87% of the tickets on VCU. 91% of the money on VCU.
I got 60,000 on this one, 70% of the money, 73% of the tickets on VCU.
All righty, let's go to the SEC and the night games. Rotation number 835, 836, Mississippi State and Tennessee. Tennessee opened at 6, now 7.5. I'm going to say this as well, peeps. It's the fact that Auburn's out. Not that I thought Auburn was going to win this SEC. I thought Kentucky would. But then A&M's won 2 games in a row now. LSU about to lose to Arkansas. So Tennessee's licking their chops and Kentucky's licking their chops. I didn't mind the number at 6. At 7.5, I do mind. Tennessee's one of these weird teams. When you expect them to blow out teams, they don't. When you expect them to have a hard-fought battle, they blow teams out.
We got 143,000 on this one, 69% of the money, 72% of the tickets on Tennessee.
Again, I expect them to win. I'm not diving there. Next game, 837, 838, Vandy, who's won a couple games. One of our kryptonites this year, Billy will attest to that. versus Kentucky. A team that someone asked me, they were at a casino today, and he goes, I want to get one future. And I told him outright, as it stands, I don't have any brackets in front of me, no crystal ball. If I had to choose one team right now that I think playing the best that could cut the nets down, I said Kentucky. You're not going to get them, big. You can probably get them 7 to 8 to 1. So they opened up at 11, still flat 11, despite 61% of the bets, 63% of the money on Vandy.
77,000 on this one, 71% of the money, 64% of the tickets on Kentucky.
So far, nothing, gentlemen. Tulsa or SMU. SMU opened up at 7.5, steamed to 9.5 and 10. 59% of the bets, 60% of the money, all on SMU.
Yeah, 55,000 on this one, 67% of the money, 64% of the tickets on SMU.
Rotation number 649, 650, Central Florida, Memphis. 56% of the bets, 73% of the money, all on Memphis. Opened at 7, now 9.5 at our friends at Circa. Flat 9 across the rest of the Vegas Strip.
Yeah, I got this a little heavier to them. 45,000 on the game, 82% of the money, 80% of the tickets on Memphis.
All right, guys, let's pause here for a second. Do you see a trend here? It's Friday. It's favorites. It's fade the public, okay? Every one of these games we just went over, the favorite has been steamed 2, 2.5, 3 points, okay? When in doubt, take the favorite or the over. Tread lightly. Rotation number 851, 852, Akron, Toledo. Hey, we got Toledo opened up at 6, now 5.5, believe it or not. 52% of the bets, 76% of the money on Toledo. If Scott gives me the same information or something close to it, there is actually reverse line movement on an underdog.
Yeah, I was just trying to see here. This game tends to have a little more money on it than I was expecting to see, but it's not a bad game. $162,000 on this one, Jeff, which is it's a lot comparative to like what a Kentucky had. 58% of the money, 51% of the tickets on Toledo.
And the reason is it's a 5 o'clock start, so people can't take a break and go grab a hot dog or a beverage. They got to keep the action going. 7:30.
They got some high numbers on these games. There's one of these games had $500,000. Indiana, Illinois, $500,000.
Comical. It's comical. Ohio and Kent State, 853, 854. Kent State opened up 1.5. Ohio now minus 1.5 or 1. 74% of the bets, 73% of the money on Kent State.
Yeah, I'm showing 84,000 on this one. 75% of the money, 75% of the tickets on Kent State.
So reverse line movement on Ohio. If you are playing Ohio, I suggest the money line at around minus 115. The MAAC Rider Monmouth. Monmouth opens at 4, now 3.5. 73% of the bets, 87% of the money on Monmouth.
I got 52,000 on the game, 64% of the money, 54% of the tickets on Rider.
All right, so that shows why the money is dropping. 857, 858, Quinnipiac and St. Peter. St. Peter has been rolling. 50% of the bets, 86% of the money on St. Pete's, yet the line hasn't moved. The line frees at a flat 7.
Well, I'm showing 21,000 on this one. 68% of the money, 53% of the tickets on Quinnipiac.
And the line hasn't moved. Be careful there. All right, now we come to the big boys. Hats off to my youngest, Kylie. She made a decision today, as I posted it on Facebook and Twitter. She will be taking her academic career to UConn. So I have one daughter leaving UConn and another one coming in. They're going to love the Dawsons, I tell you right now. I think we might build a new wing, trust me. Creighton and Providence, 859, 860. Opened at 3.5, now a flat 3. It is 3.5 at Westgate with John Murray. 64% of the bets, 54% of the money. is on Providence.
153,000 on this one. 61% of the money, 58% of the tickets on Providence.
I tell you what's going to happen in this game. Creighton's going to get out early. They're going to play a great first half. I'm not going to say they're going to be up 17 like the Johnnies. Providence is going to claw back, and then with about 5-6 minutes to go, pull away, and they'll probably win by 4, 5, or 6. I'm not touching the game. I lean Creighton, though. I do lean Creighton, but that's just Providence is just one of those teams we haven't gotten behind often this year, and that's all they do is cash and win. So if anyone wants to back Providence today, I have no problem with it. The game tonight, there is only one game tonight, Madison Square Garden, 9 o'clock tip-off. The rubber match. Winner goes to the finals of the Big East, UConn and Villanova. I will tell you this. Last night at around midnight, my friends at Circa, I asked them what the opening number was Villanova 4. I woke up this morning and it was down to 2. So some sharp, heavy money came in on UConn at Circa. It's now 3 at Circa, so they got the money back on it. Actually, 2.5 at Circa and 2.5 across the rest of the Vegas Strip. 50% of the bets, 55% of the money on Nova.
81,000 on this one. 51% of the money, 56% of the tickets on Villanova.
Under over is 131, guys. So 67-65. But you're going to go by the opening number, which was 4. So 67-63, somewhere around there. First one to 65 wins. How's that, Scott?
That makes sense to me.
ACC, Miami still rolling versus Duke. 51% of the bets, 58% of the money on the Hurricanes. Yet the line opened at 9 and is staying at 9.
I've got 130,000 on this one. 55% of the money on Miami, 53% of the tickets on Duke.
A lot of people I know in these lanes that like Duke to win and Miami to cover there. Don't have a good feel for this. I could see that angle, though, for sure. That's a lot of points right now. The game of the night in the ACC, Virginia Tech, who came off a nice win against Notre Dame, against Carolina. Carolina is rolling right now. The line opened at 2. It's only 2.5. Yet 75% of the bets, 76% of the money, Scott, is currently on the Tar Heels.
Got 121,000 on this one. 79% of the money, 81% of the tickets on the Carolina Tar Heels.
Everyone's expecting a Duke-Carolina rematch. I could see that. I do lean Tech here, but I'll tell you this. If you take Tech today, be ready for an in-game, especially early. If Carolina gets out early, this game could get ugly. So if my memory serves me correct, this will be the third game in 3 days for the Hokies. So Big 12, TCU, Kansas. Kansas opens at 7.5, now 8 or even 8.5 on the Vegas Strip. Yet 63% of the bets, 62% of the money is on TCU. Scott, we go back 2 weeks ago to the only loss in the bag game, where someone dropped about 150,000 at Kansas minus 10 or 11 after they had lost on Saturday. This was the rematch, and Kansas struggled and just limped home barely. Actually, they won. They didn't cover.
Yeah, but they barely won. It's like 2 points, 3 points, something like that. And they had to cover double digits.
So what do you have for money on this game?
$117,000, 55% of the money, 56% of the tickets on Kansas.
So the guy with the bag didn't come back to double down.
Nope.
869, 870, Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Opened at 8, now 7, 7.5 at Westgate and South Point. 52% of the bets, 91% of the money on the Sooners.
I got something way different than that. 74% or $74,000 on the game. 57% of the money, 65% of the tickets on Texas Tech.
So reverse line movement on Oklahoma, guys. Keep an eye on the Sooners. There was a flip overnight here. Interested to what you have for numbers here. Montana State opened at 1.5. Now Weber State is now minus 1.5. Montana State rolling. Weber State struggled down the backstretch here. Yet they opened as a dog, and the sharp said not so quick. Interested what you have for tickets and money there.
We got 34,000 on the game, so not that popular. 58% of the money, 55% of the tickets on Weber State.
Yeah, if you're going to play that, take them on the money line, minus 115, 118. Pac-12, rotation number 875, 876, Colorado and Arizona. Colorado opened up at 10, and it's still 10. A Colorado team that's playing well. 65% of the bets, 79% of the money in on the Wildcats of Arizona.
This shows $86,000 on the game, 52% of the money, 62% of the tickets on Colorado.
Line hasn't moved either. Keep an eye on Arizona there. USC, UCLA, 877, 878. Grab a Red Bull. It's at 11:30, probably closer to midnight at the way these games drag out. Opened at 6, still 6, 51% of the bets, 65% of the money on USC.
Got 41,000 on this one, 56% of the money, 52% of the tickets on UCLA.
Two teams that we've cashed tickets on lately, guys. Abilene Christian, they opened at 2, now 2.5 against Seattle University. And then Cal State Santa Barbara keeps winning, opened at 2, now 4 or 4.5. And that's with 55% of the bets, 59% of the money on Long Beach State.
I got something way different than that. I'll check it in a second, but $52,000. So not the biggest amounts. 81% of the money, 56% of the tickets on UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And I'm checking to see if there's any big bets in there. We got a $5,000, $5,500 wager. That's it. 7,000. We got a $7,000 one early in the morning, and then a $5,500 one here not too long ago on UC Santa Barbara.
All right, keep an eye on them. Excuse me. The Mountain West, Wyoming still never gets any respect. Rotation number 887, 888 against Boise State. Opened at 2.5, now 3. I'm showing 54% of the bets, 83% of the money on the Cowboys of Wyoming.
Got 42,000 on this one, 58% of the money on Boise State, 57% of the tickets on Wyoming.
I'm going to stay away there because I think I got something for you guys here. This is the midnight. This is if you need to stay up real late. This is the Hawaii after dark game on Saturdays for you in football. San Diego State, 889, 890 versus Colorado State. They couldn't throw it in the ocean yesterday, but they battled back and won. Opened up as 1-point dogs, now 2-point favorites or 1.5. 56% of the bets, 52% of the money on San Diego State Aztecs.
We got 28,000 on this one so far, 70% of the money, 64% of the tickets on San Diego State.
I'd grab that money line at around minus 123, 125. I wouldn't mess with the 1.5 or 2 there. And a tiptoe into hockey real quick for everyone here. Come on. These boards are just so crazy. They're going to be playing golf till Tuesday. The TPC was postponed again. Let me guess. I just happened to blow by the NHL, right?
Well, there's only 4 games.
All right. See, I know I wasn't going crazy. They're just showing me the basketball. Do me a favor. Give me the monies on the Pittsburgh Vegas game.
We got Pittsburgh minus 185 right now, $72,000 on the game, 82% of the money, 85% of the tickets on Pittsburgh.
And it opened at 145, steamed to 180 there. I can't give out a 180, so I would stay away from there. Islanders open up at 125, now 119, Scott.
This is the least bet game, $29,000 on the game, 71% of the money, 65% of the tickets on the Islanders.
All right, we've been 2 for 2 on Washington. We won on them, and we then went against them and won again. We're 5-0 in the NHL tonight. This week, I talk about respecting the opening line. Vancouver opens up minus 120, has been steamed down to 105. 59% of the bets, 76% of the money on the Canucks.
I got 58,000 on this one, 79% of the money on Washington, 50-50 split on tickets.
Keep an eye on Vancouver, minus the 105. Respect the opening number there, please. Wow, head spinning. A lot of action. Anyone with any questions, comments, concerns, my timeline's open. My direct messages are open on Twitter at EC Sports Invest. You can send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. You can reach out to Scotty at Webby20MLB with any question you might have as well. But it's that time of the day where we go over to Webby's words of wisdom.
Well, today we're going to talk about pull the damn trigger. So overthinking involves being absorbed into things sometimes and worrying, overanalyzing, and creating additional stress for yourself, which also causes a problem because it relates poorly to being able to problem solve. So it decreases a lot of your skill sets that you need to have. So we're going to talk about what overthinking does, and then kind of how to counteract that. Overthinking can create problems that were never even there to begin with. So as you start to look through things and you start to divulge what it is that you're trying to solve a problem with, a lot of times you can create an environment that's not successful or conducive to what you're doing. And you know what? Typically when you're overthinking and overanalyzing things, it's because you start to lose focus of what it is the objective is. So if you're trying to problem solve something, a lot of times you get so involved in that problem solving that you get into a detail of that. And then you start to think about that detail. And then all of a sudden you lose that focus. And then you start to daydream a little bit. And then you're not procrastinating, but you're fantasizing. You're trying to dream of a reality where all of that stuff can come together. So you lose focus altogether. And a lot of times overthinking, overanalyzing creates that culture. So wanting to create a perfect environment is not the main objective here. The objective is to make a decision so that you can free up the brain to make the next decision. So don't wait. Once you have enough information, because you're never going to have a perfect environment to make that perfect decision, you need to make the decision. You know, I don't know how many days ago it was, but we talked about the idea of ready, fire, aim, right? So you get yourself ready to go shoot, and then once you miss, you start working on your aim a little better. But that frees up your brain to be in the moment. And that's where you need to be, because if you're not in the present, you're going to have a hard time with focus and then understanding how to clear the brain, which is to make decisions. Once you make those choices, the decision process naturally flows. So in our gambling lanes, in our sports lanes, we often get encapsulated in what we're doing, and we get lost in the board, or we get lost in the analysis of data. And then you lose focus on the objective. The objective is to make a most wise decision and investment with your money. It's not necessarily to figure out how many yards a player is going to gain, or how many yards a team's going to get, or XYZ points they're going to have, or whatever. You got to win your bet. So a lot of times you get messed up into the over analytical world, and you get overthinking. So you only need to win 52.38% of the time, which is minus 110 on the money line. So if you're minus 110, think about all of the error rates that you can have, which is going to be 47.7% that you can make and still make a profit at the end. So the reality is that you don't have to have the most clean, clear, crisp environment to make your decisions in. The key is to make your decision, right? We talked about that. You got to make your decision. So ready yourself, which is what you do, shoot. And then when you have the ability to figure out why you missed, you start to narrow down your aim. So then you're freeing up your brain to make better choices, better decisions. But you're always then utilizing your skill sets to stay in the present, because if you're not doing that, you get in this little fog, and then you're not thinking clearly or properly. And then all kinds of things creep in, right? This injury to this guy, or that's the last 10 games for this team, or, they did this or they did that. And then all of a sudden you create doubt. The biggest thing that you can always do is when you take your ticket to the window, understand that you made a decision based on the best information that you had available to you, because you exhausted that information, and then you went through it, made that choice, went to the window, made your bet with conviction, and you walk away, because that's all you can control. After that part of it, you let it go, because then you're going to be looking at your next thing, and hopefully you win that bet. So as you go, the most important thing to understand is take action on your thoughts, take correct action, be convicted in what you do, and don't worry about the rest. Because if you get lost in that fog, then your reasoning skills go down, and then your success rate will follow.
I talk about quicksand Sunday all the time, and the hardest part for people in these lanes, Scott, is the emotion part. Okay, I always say, where I leave my heart and my ego at the door, and there's no such thing as a favorite team. The only favorite team I have is the one that cashes for me. That's the St. Louis Billikens this afternoon. But the LSU Tigers lost. But you get caught up into the hysteria, the madness. Now you add the fact that you're tired. Add the fact that you're playing with money that you can't afford. Maybe you go to the casino on Friday night when you're supposed to go home, and in the right pocket you got the rent and you got the cable bill, and in the left pocket you got lint. Well, go to the bar, have a couple beers. Now you're not thinking straight. And then you say, well, you know what? I kind of like this. I kind of like this. Next thing you know, there goes the rent, and the hell with the cable bill. We don't need the cable this week anyways. So that foggy judgment, that the hardest thing is to pay the man, That's why these apps are so dangerous. You got $500. Let's just say you got a line of credit of $1,000. You play 3 games minus 110. You got $330 invested, Scott. Let's just say you go 0-3. Well, you don't have $1,000 on credit anymore. You only have 670. So you play 3 more games at minus 110. Okay. So you're 0-3 to start the week. You got 3 plays already in, and you only got $300 left of credit. And that's when you start losing, and you want that money back, and you start thinking irrationally.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. I mean, you got to remember why you're doing what you're doing, and the goal, right? I mean, the goal is to walk away with winners, but you have to figure out where the winners are. So you have to do your research. You have to find the things, but you can't overanalyze it, because it's never going to be perfect. And it's just like I'll sit here and I'll start doing these baseball teams, and I'll have to get up and walk away because I find myself floating around sometimes going, holy crap, this team is doing this and this team is doing that. And then I get them mixed up and I'm like, oh, that's just too many teams. So you lose your focus, you lose your thoughts because you're doing all kinds of things. So I do like the idea that you can take a break for a second, reset your mind, walk away, and then get a drink. Buy a cup of coffee. Get yourself a Red Bull, like you say, and whatever it is, and reset your brain, because this is a thinking man's game. But at the same time that it's a thinking man's game, it's an actions game. Once you have done what you've done in your head, you have to take action upon it or you lose it. And if you don't take the action, a lot of times you can talk yourself out of a goddamn winner before and talk yourself into a loser. So understand what you're doing and then do it and take action on it and move on and then wipe your hands of it and then learn from what happened and move forward.
And I always say this, I'll close with this. If you're throwing the remote, you're yelling, screaming, hollering, you're kicking the door, you're getting out of control drinking because you can't win a game. You missed free throw. That happened to us last night. We're up 4, Scotty. We're up 3 late. We get outscored 4-0, so we're down 1. We just needed to win the game. We got 2 free throws with 7 seconds left, and he clanked both of them. So instead of going 4-1 for the day, we go 3-2. We still profited 3/4 of a unit, but 4-1 versus 3-2 is a big deal. I didn't wake up this morning or while I was working during the middle of the night and say, man, we got to get that Western Kentucky loss back. And, just run to the window for the 11:30 game and the 2:12 o'clock starts. We didn't play any games till 2:30 today. Have a plan. Have discipline. Guys, if you're getting frustrated over every play you're in too big, you're not going to be a millionaire overnight here. We talk about the marathon. We talk about the grinding. Myself and Scott care. That's why we're here. Okay? I go to Vegas. I could go to Vegas with 3, 4, 5,000 in my pocket. I could have $50 on a game. I could have 300 or 500 on the game. I'm still going to act the same way. It's when you get too far over your skis and you start pressing. That's what happens to a lot of people. They stop pressing. I went 0-3 on -110s. I'm not going to go 0-3 again. So instead of playing 100 a game, I'm going to play 150 a game. Okay. And then guess what? You went 0-3 again. Well, I got 500 left. There's no way I'm going to lose this game. I'm going to put 250 on the next 2. That's how it happens. So a lot of spiels, a lot of sermons today. Scott, one last closing thought for the fam.
I've heard Clayton Kershaw to the Texas Rangers, by the way. Now, that hasn't happened, but I've heard that. So looking at the Texas Rangers today, they need pitching. I mean, they brought in John Gray, but he's the number one they got. So a guy like Clayton Kershaw could help, especially when they brought in Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and Cole Calhoun. So they loaded up on some guys that can hit. So now they need some people that can pitch.
I love Clayton to death. I think in his prime, he was unhittable. I mean, let's be honest. He was practically unhittable. I don't put him into the GOAT category like Pedro, but that's just me. He had a hard time in the playoffs. I'll just say this, Mr. Kershaw. You had an amazing career. I don't think you want to be pitching in Texas in the heat of the summer in August there when the under overs are 13 and it's 6-5 after 3 innings. See if you can get a contract with the Dodgers and just call it a career.
I did post on my timeline, by the way, the Grapefruit League schedule for all the teams and the Cactus League schedule for all the teams. They're all posted. So if you want to see when spring training games are, they're all there.
All right. Thank you, everyone, our loyal listeners, Mr. Hewlin, Mr. Follow Fade, Mr. Lucky himself. I will be seeing you, by the way, in 2 weeks. Anyone that is not following, please do on our social media at East Coast Sports Investors over on Twitch and YouTube. You can find me and Scott here 2 or 3 times a day. Ask a question. That's what we're here for. But always remember this. If you're wagering or investing tonight, please do it responsibly. If you do have that problem we were talking about, ask for help. There's an 800 number that is available. Why? Myself and Scott care. We do. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun with these damn games, and we'll see you bright and early in the morning.